Well, I thought I was ready to execute. So, when the plumbers plumbed the hot water to the bathrooms, they put a return line, which means you go to the very top last bathroom drop, there's an elbow, and then a line that goes down to the basement. So what happens is you can put on a pump that pumps the hot water out or the cold water out, pulling in hot water, and then it dumps it into the cold water. So you can buy the systems about $400 to $500, but all they are is a pump, a backflow prevention, so the water can only go that way, it can't come back, a shut-off valve, and there'll be a shut-off valve on the other side, and the pump runs electricity, you can pick the speed. Then you add an Amazon or a smart plug, and then you do something like, hey, Echo, turn on hot water, and it runs this pump for a specific amount of time that you program into the command. So you can say, turn this plug on for 30 seconds. Runs 30 seconds. So got everything here, and I thought I had everything, except there are two types of tapered threads and not tapered threads, and I got the wrong kind. So basically, see how this gets enhanced? Wider or fatter, thicker, bigger at the end. So as you tighten it, it slowly gets smaller, and that fits on here. Unfortunately, these threads are not that way, they're straight threads. So see how that gets bigger near the end? It's probably a bad color. Use this. There we go. So yeah, this doesn't thread on there. So we have PEX piping. It only goes on a little bit because it starts to get smaller diameter locks. So I got these really cheap several years ago. I thought they would fit. They're made out of brass, which is copper, and something else. I should know this. Anyhow, copper and steel, iron and copper. So anyhow, I got everything I need. So the PEX fitting, I just cut off the end, put in the shutoff valve. There's a crimp, another crimp, short piece of pipe, another crimp, backflow prevention. So again, the water can only go this way, it can't come back this way, although it's so that the water doesn't pull from this side. Whenever you turn the hot water, it pulls from the hot water heater side. I got a bunch of these, go around the pipe. And I got my pump, the wrong kind of threads, but it was really difficult finding a decent quality pump because they're all made in China. Then I got my aunt, Sophie gave me these for Christmas, clearly Amazon. And just need to get this. Now I could probably do an adapter, straight to curved, and I may take a look at that, or I may get the right fittings. They're not going to be $1.95, I can assure you that. So yeah, I got a whole bunch of the ends here. So ironically, I bought only males when I needed males and females, but then I found these in the basement, but then it didn't matter because I was going to get the wrong kind anyhow. So off to the Home Depot. Gonna drop off some steel, I think, for recycling. It doesn't pay, but I'm gonna do it nonetheless. So yeah, head to scrapyard. So almost all this is steel. This is a really high quality steel. I don't think it's stainless because it's rusting, but I'm gonna have them check that. Got a few pieces of aluminum here, bucket, rotor, motors, etc. But the real reason I'm going, other than it feels good to get rid of this stuff, this is a piece of lead. I've had this lead since 1977. I bought it at a garage sale of my neighbor next door, the Stanhopes. They were moving to Camp Hill, Pennsylvania. No, they moved to Brea first, and then they moved there, someplace on the west side. I don't know. When I was growing up, the west side was a faraway place. But the story is they used it as a boat anchor. I'm assuming since he worked for Picker, it came from Picker X-ray. Lead's useful because it stops X-rays. It's very effective for that. But this weighs a lot. So we're hopeful we're going to get a few dollars for this. I'm not quite sure where to put it. It's got to weigh at least 30, 40 pounds. Real pain in the ass, and I've had it since 77, so really haven't found a use for it. I was using it as an aquarium weight, then I'm thinking lead, aquarium fish. It'd be kind of cool to have a two-headed fish, but it really could use something else, like a hunk of steel. Like that rotor right there. Yeah, that rotor. Anyhow, the fountain doesn't work for shit anyhow. Amazon special, so it's for the little pond. It is cold out here, considering it was 70 plus degrees. It was in the 80s just a few days ago, so off we go. Well, I came back because I forgot about this. This is a lawn roller. I don't use it, never used it. Got it out of the woods many years ago. You fill it up with water. There's a plug that goes in there. So I was thinking, you know, I'll just throw it in there, get rid of it. However, as I'm rolling, I'm realized, hey, that's a drum. Huh. So I'm gonna pop that out. Now, this drum is watertight, so it could become like a planter. I could cut it in half. I don't know. If I just think outside the box, or in this case the cube, it could be used for a variety of things. There's an exhaust leak, but most of the engine noise is up here anyhow. So we're gonna pop that cotter pin out there, and hence. And pop that cotter pin out there, and hence. And throw the handle in there, and we'll keep the rest. So no shake in the truck today, but I might have stopped by the college dumpsters and picked up some extra ballast. So we'll be empty on the way coming back. We'll see the difference, but yeah, no shake, nothing. So at least I know I don't need to replace the rear end or anything stupid like that currently. Well, that was 50 bucks. So not really worth my time and effort. But 50 bucks. Taco Bell. Checking this technology out. Look at this. Whoa. It looks much cooler in person. See an opener for the beer bottles. We got a griddle. This might be a game changer. You don't see every day helicopters checking the high voltage lines. A little eerie coming around the corner on the exits. So I think I found one of the largest Acro bins to hold more bins that I'm going to put in my bin site, which is downstairs. A lot of bins. I hope, well, I don't think that's going to be enough, but it's certainly a good start. Yesterday, I drove the truck to work because I had to move some equipment between sites. And then, anyhow, I went and got diesel. And I put about 70 miles on. Well, on the way back, because I stopped at FedEx, because I thought that box would be there. That's another story. I'm not sure I understand. The truck started violently shaking in the front, and it turns out that this wheel, the brake discs were rubbing. This is the second time this happened. So that's bad. But so I just pulled over, got the tools out from underneath the hood, and to push the brake pads apart a little bit. Then I drove home without any brakes. You slow down with the gears. Anyhow, but this was actually, you could smell it, and I started hearing the bearings making noise, which is bad. So I'm going to grab a jack. I'm going to jack this up, take the wheel off, take the cap off, take the bolt off, take the cotter pin off before the bolt, because the bolt will come off, remove the bearings and the disc brakes. So I'm going to get a new disc caliper. Hopefully I can reuse the pads. I'm going to go to Riley's and I'm going to take the bearings out and check them. I know they're dry, but I may not have damaged them. If I did, I can take the bearings with me and match. Now, the reason I'm going to Riley's is I can take the stuff there, and O'Reilly's had like 3 or 4 choices on the bearings. I don't know what size they are. I can just take them up and go, I need these, and etc. So I'm gonna, it's 81 degrees out here, so I'm gonna run inside, put some shorts on, and get a little dirty here. Okay, so the first step was to load the jack underneath there, jack the car up, then I removed the tire. This makes easy work of that, the beast. Then I removed the brake caliper, the pads, and then the bracket that holds them together. That came out fairly easily. I put a lot of extra goop on the, goop being liquid wrench on the bolts, but more importantly on the brake line fitting. This one, she's looking a little crusty. Right there, yeah, manual enhanced. So we're gonna let that soak a little bit. So next thing, I had to take this cap off, take the cotter pin out from it, then pull the wheel bearing out. So there's cap, cotter pin, and a nut. That comes out, then a washer, I think. The brake pads look decent. They're a little old, but I don't care. And the rotor looks fine, so that's good. I don't see any run out. Lots of rust, but that's to be expected. In fact, I think I could take this off right now if I wanted to, but I need to get down there. I may end up rebolting the caliper on for when I go to torquelate on the brake line fitting. So, yep, so far so good. Have not broken anything yet. Okay, so I got this off. So there's a bearing on the outside, there's a bearing on the inside. So I took the nut off and the washer, and then I removed it, and then I got the bearing off on the inside, or right there. That didn't sound good. Then I read yesterday a trick. You put the nut and the washer back on, you yank this out, and this pulls the seal out of the back. And it keeps it in good condition, so we can reuse the seal. So that seal goes right in there. Though which direction? I think it goes this way. So anyhow, I just lightly cleaned the surface. The surface looks fine. What we're looking for is discoloration, which means temperature increase, which changes the property of the steel. By the way, this is ABS, which I did not know. Never felt it. I wonder what that like. Oh, that's not good. I wonder where that's coming from. It wasn't there before. Shit. Anyhow, so the races look fine. These can be pounded out and replaced, but they look fine. The bearings look fine. So at this stage, I'm not planning to replace the races, and I'm not planning to replace the bearings. They had plenty of grease in there. I got it in this gasoline-like substance, and it's cleaning the grease off. The inside one was dirtier, but if we take it out of this, clearly not gasoline's liquid, you can see here, it's fine. I mean, is it worn? Yes. It's got 100,000 miles on it? Probably. So we're gonna let this soak. So the next step is to take that rotor off. Now, the caliper, the brake line from the caliper. Now, the reason I want to take this is twofold. One is I want to make sure it fits. Two, there's a $50 cord charge on there, so if it fits, I can just hand it to them. I don't have to pay the fee and come back and blah, blah, blah. I did use my newish hook. She worked out pretty well. A little cumbersome to get it up there. There's not a lot of play here on the hose. So that's the next thing. Can we get this fitting off? That's a statement, not a question. Not sure. But so far so good. It's right on the edge of being hot. I don't like 80s. Okay, so that came off, so we're gonna let that soak. I got my random rag here. I got my brake calipers leaking currently, brake fluid, so that's great. Did lose a little bit. I put a glove around it and then disconnected and threw it up there and put a wire around it, put another glove when that glove failed because it got a hole because the corners are sharp. So I think that's part of steering fluid. I think when I moved the wheel back without the engine running, so we're gonna have to investigate that later. But for now, we gotta get this, you know, to the hospital, so to speak. It looks like all I need is the caliper.
I don't need any hardware or anything. I'm going to ask if they have a backing plate because, well, there's not much left to that backing plate. So we can get out of here. Hope I have a way of pounding that in. Yeah, probably. Let's see. If this is upright, I bet it will leak less if it's up there. We're going to take that off. Are we? Maybe we're not. Shit. I better take that off in case they don't have one. I don't know. It should come with one. I'd like to think it would. Get out of there. Make sure you scratch it too when you get that off there, Chris. Okay, let's what am I talking to you guys? You're not going anywhere. Stay tuned. Okay, got the new caliper, of course. It came with the new bracket, which I didn't bring, so I got to go back and bring that back for the core charge. It's like 50 bucks. So I cleaned off all the extra grease on the spindle. Put a little gasoline, environmental friendly cleaning material on there beforehand. I soaked the bearings in these environmentally friendly gasoline containers. And then I had a second one and I poured it in there. And then I basically spun them up to about 80,000 RPM, it seemed like, with the old spindulator. So this is actually fairly fun to do. So you just take your rear hose here and that's not very inspiring because I just remembered we lost our power yesterday and I turned off the air compressor. So that was about 15 pounds of PSIs there. So let's turn that back on. Let that build up a little pressure. A little more pressure here. So anyhow, put some grease on there and I'll pack these bad boys in. Spike reminded me I didn't do a video update. So I got it back together. Joe helped me bleed the brakes, poured a lot of fluid in, and took it for a spin. Seemed to be okay, but I've had that problem before. The brakes pulsate because one of the rotors is warped. Maybe they're all warped. I don't know. I don't even care at this point. But there wasn't a shake, but again, I've had that before. But the brakes seemed to work fine. Got up to about 85. So tomorrow or Saturday morning, I gotta tear some wheels apart. So I bought those wheels that didn't fit. Well, they're shit tires, so I gotta take the tires off the rim, which will be interesting because I've never done that with a car tire or a truck tire. And I gotta put them in the back. So Portage County's having a, you can donate up to 10 tires for free for scrapping on Saturday. So I got, 4 right there. I got 2 in the back that I grabbed out of somebody's trash that I thought were good. They looked good, but they were cracked. And I got the 4 in the back on the rims. And the rims are rusty, so I don't know what I'll do. I'll probably just donate them to the scrap place. So yeah, that's what I need to get done tomorrow or Saturday morning early. So there was a cat here. Oh, nice looking puppy. Well, once again, it's rainy Saturday morning and I'm out in the old truck. So we had a recycling event and I was able to recycle some extra tires we had. This is the most ghettoest fucking thing known to mankind. You get off the highway, you go across the street, you go across the exit ramp to get to the street. It's very confusing. I thought I was getting back on the highway. Fortunately, I'm just going straight, but somebody just built this. That was a design. Let's have the exit ramp be bisected by the... I hung up 3 more rows, and I'm once again out. I think I'm gonna swap that one with that one. I got room for 1 more row, so I'm gonna scrap the rest of that metal and call's pretty much done. I end up spacing them all equally, even though the bins are different sizes. I don't know if that's a good idea or not. But next time I find myself in a position to get more of these, I'm going to get medium-sized ones. Yeah, that's the ticket.